Hi everyone, I'm Bob Hutt of Fantasy Lane Stable, and this morning we're here on a tour of Adena Springs, where we have our beloved mare, our Betty Graybull, and her weanling Ghost Zapper. And joining us today to give us a tour of Adena Springs is a very good friend, Eric Hamelback, who has been a godsend to all of us at Fantasy Lane Stable in protecting our Betty Graybull and her two beautiful fillies. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to tell us where we are. All I can tell you, if the outside of this building is any indication, I'm ready to move into Adena Springs. Thanks, Eric. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bob. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to speak to all the Fantasy Lane members. It's been a pleasure having our Betty Graybull here. She's a wonderful, tough, but wonderful mare. She's produced two very nice foals. The yearling, of course, which we'll find out a little bit later. Here at Keeneland, she sells Monday, hip 190. So we're excited to have her and her progeny, and hopefully she will produce as good of a racehorse as she certainly was for you guys. So here today, we're actually in Barn 1. We're in one of our 4 foaling stalls that we have here in Barn 1. Most every mare will foal in this facility in Barn 1. Primarily, these 2 stalls that we're standing in one right now, they're a little bit bigger than the normal stalls that we keep them in during the normal part of the year. So we'll take another walk around and see a bit more.
Well, here's the reason we're here this morning, to see an old friend in our Betty Graybull. It's hard to believe yesterday was the 6th anniversary of Betty winning her first race ever at Belmont Stakes. Not Belmont Stakes, but Belmont Park. And over there, Bob Oliver is petting her second foal, a weanling filly by Ghost Zapper, who is gorgeous. Not that I'm prejudiced, but she's beautiful. And looking at Betty, it just brings back tremendous memories. And a great big thank you to the late Alan Sewald, who had the courage and conviction to protect Betty and not push her, and gave her a year and a half to recover from her knee surgery, which was in the bottom joint of her knee, which is the worst place you can have it. And if not for Alan and what he taught me, we wouldn't be here this morning. And I can never thank Eric, you enough for protecting her. It's kind of emotional, so I'll turn it over to you, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks again, Bob. And again, our industry is made up of great owners, and Bob has been amazing to work with. I know the care that Fantasy Lane Stables and the owners and the partners have put into Betty. I know Mr. Stronach is honored to own her in partnerships, and to produce racehorses. That's what Frank has always tried to do. He will buck the commercial system in order to have a good mating to produce a good racehorse. And we're very, very happy with this filly. She's done very well. She'll be weaned here probably in a couple of weeks. And hopefully she will be certainly as good looking, if not better, than the yearling. She's being raised right by all the crew here at Adena, and she'll have the best care. Unfortunately, she did not get in foal, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything bad for this upcoming season. Reproductively, she'll be set and ready to go. Dr. Little and his crew will hopefully get her right back in foal next year very early, and we'll get back to having a younger foal or older foal from the standpoint of when they're born. So we're very honored to have her here, and hopefully all goes well.
Hi everyone, Bob Hutt again with Eric Hamelback of Adena Springs, and he's going to tell us a little bit about hip 190. The awesome again, our Betty Graybull yearling selling today, and here it is straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Take it away, Eric.
Well, no, the awesome again filly is very athletic. I think, as mentioned here, especially with Donald Wells, who helped get her started until we were weaning, that filly has improved every day. And I certainly would feel from the yearling time frame how she is and the time she's been prepped, she has literally gotten better and better in the last 6 to 8 weeks. She's become more racehorse looking. Her profile has really shapened into that classic big shoulder, good depth, powerful hip. She's still very feminine. She has light bone, if somebody wants to call it that. But again, as a filly, I have no problem with that. And again, she has continued to get better and better in comparison to the now soon-to-be weanling. They're very different horses. The Awesome Again looks very much like a Holy Bull, or if you want to say how I would assume our Betty Graybull looked as she was developing into a racehorse. Whereas the now Ghost Sapper foal, soon to be weaned, very sire-like, very Ghost Sapper-like, both fillies. The foal right now at her side is very powerful, great hip, has some of the tributes that you would give to Ghost Sapper, in that a little bit turned in, one knee's a little bit more offset, but at the end of the day, very athletic, walks very well, mentally tough, and that's one of those things that, especially with fillies, that we always look for. And I know that she gets that from my conversations with Bob, how our Betty Graybull, how tough she was, but yet how good she was. And sensible is a word that we use a lot, especially in the barns. I like to ask the crew on a lot of occasion, how sensible do they act? It's one thing to be extremely athletic, but are they going to get the saddle on and run through the inside rail? They have to be able to mentally harness their own power and have to really take that to the racetrack in a sensible fashion. So it's a word that we use a lot when we're raising these horses, and we try to make sure that we can give them the best avenue to become the best racehorse they can, because again, we can't do anything but raise them the right way. Racehorses are from within, from the heart, and the more they have passed on from their mom and dad, sire and dam, the better off they'll be.
Eric, thank you very much. And just as an aside to the Fantasy Lane Stable partners, I'm here with partners Jim Holmes and Bob Oliver, and as they told me before we go back to the stable area and the auction this afternoon, we have a stop to make at Lowe's. They have to get some duct tape. Apparently they're going to tie my arm so I can't raise my hand and put some tape over my mouth so I can't scream out, I want her, I want her. But the truth is, if the opportunity presented itself, we would very much love to own her. She's a very, very racy type filly, and notwithstanding that she comes from the blue-collar our Betty Graybull, who took no prisoners in her racing career, as we call the mini Zenyatta, whoever does buy her this afternoon, they're going to be very fortunate, and we're going to be rooting for her entire career. Thank you so much, and again, this has been Talk of the Track, and we thank our good friend and partner Bill Rush and his lovely wife Georgia, who is quickly becoming the head of the Rush household. We have to give her some more New York indoctrination. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody, and see you at the races.